Every hotel has its own story. Some hide romantic secrets, others hide crimes. But the Golden Fern Hotel had only one rule: never check guests into room 206. My name was Ilya. I had been working as a night manager at this hotel for 2 years. Of course, like all newcomers, I also asked about room 206. The senior administrator just said, "There was a tragedy there once." One rainy evening, a strange man came in, wet with a suitcase, but without a reservation. "Any room? Just not the first floor." "There is only 206, I answered, and I was surprised at how easily I said it. "Great," he smiled, although his eyes shone with longing. A few hours later, the hotel was silent. I decided to check the cameras. There was no signal coming from room 206. It was as if it didn't exist at all. I went upstairs. The door was ajar. "Sir, is everything okay?" "It's quiet." I went inside. The room was empty, but the fresh steam from the shower still hung in the air. On the bed was a photograph. It showed a young man, a girl, and me. A memory flashed in my mind that I had been pushing away for years. 2005, a student party, a random fight. He fell down and never got up again. I fled that town, changed my name, lived with the guilt, and now he's back. His body was never found, but the shadow found me. When I tried to leave the room, the door closed by itself. There was an inscription on the mirror that had faded through the steam. "You are now in my skin." I don't remember falling asleep in that room. The lights were flickering. The voices from the corridor were fading into a hum, and it seemed like the walls were breathing. When I woke up, it was dark. The clock had stopped at exactly 2:06. The door would not open anymore. I screamed and knocked in vain. The phone had no signal. The only source of light was the mirror above the nightstand. But something was wrong. My reflection did not follow my movements. I waved my hand, and the reflection was too late. I turned around, and it was looking me in the eye, and suddenly it spoke. "I gave you years. Now give me my place." "Who are you?" I whispered. "I am the truth, your shadow, and the one you left behind to die." I fell to my knees. Memories came flooding back, not just of the fight, but of everything I had done to get away with it. Disappeared witnesses, forged documents. But he remembered everything. "What do you want?" I asked. "I want it to happen again. Now you are the one who will stay here." I stood up. I went to the mirror. It began to flicker. I touched the surface and fell through. I woke up at the reception desk. Everything was just like before, but something was wrong. My colleagues passed me by without noticing. I could not feel my body. I could not speak. I could only watch. Meanwhile, someone new was sitting in my body, the same man from the photo. He was smiling at the clients, joking, just like I used to. But sometimes he looked directly into the mirror, as if to let me know, now is my chance to live, and yours is to watch. And I do, every night. Sometimes I try to give a sign to the new employees, but no one hears. Only one guy did. He has been working here for only a few days. Today he checked a guest into room 206. The following story took place in another hotel. My name is Andre, and I am a journalist. My specialty is investigating mystical and paranormal phenomena. I have always been attracted to mysterious stories, especially those related to abandoned places. One day, I came across a mention of the old Lighthouse Hotel, located on the Black Sea coast. The hotel was closed more than 30 years ago after a series of mysterious disappearances of guests. The locals avoided the place, believing it to be cursed. I decided to spend a night at this hotel to gather material for the article. After contacting the local authorities, I received permission to temporarily stay in the building. Armed with a camera, a voice recorder, and a flashlight, I set off on my journey. The old Lighthouse Hotel turned out to be a huge building with peeling walls and broken windows. The interior corridors were dark and the air was musty. I chose room 313, located on the third floor, because it was the room with the most legends. The room was impressively well preserved. Antique furniture, dust on the floor, and a mirror that seemed to be watching me. I set up my camera on a tripod, pointing it at the bed, and began to record my impressions. Around midnight, I heard a soft whisper. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the sound repeated. I checked the corridor. It was empty. When I returned to my room, I noticed that the mirror was fogged up, even though it was cold in the room. There was an inscription on the surface of the mirror, "Stay." I felt my heart start to beat faster. I decided to watch the recording from the camera. The video showed a figure in dark clothes standing next to my bed, but in reality, I didn't see anyone. The next day, I decided to explore the archives of the local library. I found an article from 1975 about the disappearance of a young woman named Olena, who was staying in room 313. Her body was never found, but witnesses claimed to have seen her shadow in the room's window. When I returned to the hotel, I felt that the atmosphere had become even more depressing. I could hear footsteps in the corridors, even though I was alone. In room 313, the mirror was fogged up again, and this time the inscription was different. Help. I decided to conduct a seance using a recorder. I asked the question, "Elena, are you here?" The answer appeared on the recording, "Yes." I asked how I could help. The answer was, "Find me." I started searching the room and found a trap door under the carpet. I opened it and went down to the basement, where I found an old suitcase with Olena's personal belongings. Among them was her diary, in which she wrote about being harassed by the hotel administrator. By contacting the police with new evidence, I helped reopen the case. Olena's remains were found in the basement, and the former manager, who was still alive, confessed to the crime. After that, the Staryi Mayak Hotel was demolished, and a memorial was erected in its place in honor of Olena and the other victims.